It's a bit warm, Gonzo. You must be cooking in that cupboard.
I am cooking in the cupboards. Fortunately, it's I've got a door and a door. Well, obviously, a cupboard without a door would be, I don't know, not very good, would it? Be like old Fritzl. So yeah, it's the door is open. Hopefully, the kids can keep the noise down, and I'll waft it. That's the door. I'll waft the door every now and again to get a bit of air in.
Yeah, it's a bit cozy up here anyway. I'm going to be burnt. When you next see me in the next video, I'm going to be pinker than today, and I'm already got a tint of pink about me, I think.
Just normal hailstones today in Scotland, is it?
Yeah, it was like rain instead of snow. I mean,
yeah.
Good day.
I feel for you.
Well, where shall we start? Have you been practicing how to pronounce our record signing's name? We've been told it's not Haller. It's I'm not even sure how you say it, to be honest.
Hello. Look, here's the thing with him, okay? I think, you don't pronounce the H, of course, but you can do what you want, because I have sometimes been told to pronounce things by people that if you're going to do it, do everything. So if you're going to say hello, then you better be saying Barcelona and Numancia, and actually you don't. So there's no point. So as far as I'm concerned, it's Haller. I might switch as it progresses along, just as it's James Rodriguez, it's Eric Bailey. That's my view on it. If you're going to do it, do the whole lot.
Interesting. Well, I'm sort of converting. I mean, during the show, I might call him Haller and Allaire. I'm not sure, to be honest. Depends. But it was a bit like Payet. Remember when we were saying Payet? Nobody was really sure how to say his name, and there was Payet. I don't know. There was a load of different versions of Payet going about until
Paget. There's actually no G, is there? Anyway, doesn't matter. He won't mind.
Snaky cunt. Well, whoever came up with that one was correct in the end.
He certainly was. And of course, the thing is, if you are just going to say Aller, then that's actually one letter less to get on the back of your shirt. You can drop the H, save yourself £1.99. Lovely.
Well, as long as you're not getting the new West Ham women's signing. Did you see her name?
No.
I think there's about 14 letters.
Well, obviously a marketing ploy.
Yeah, I mean, they've done well if it's £1 a letter. Jack's saying that 2 people that buy that shirt is going to have to pay an extra couple of quid each.
That's why they got rid of Denver Bar.
Probably is. I wouldn't put past them, actually. Anyway, where shall we start? Well, let's talk about who's leaving. Pedro Obiang looks like he's going to be gone in the next day or so. He's probably in Italy already. Sassuolo, 7.2, 7.4 million-ish. What's your thoughts on that one?
Absolutely fine. A lovely man, Geo. If you've not been on, if you want to trawl through this,
hang on.
Hold on. If you want to look at it, we did a training ground vlog, and he's a lovely man. Got to meet him. He's a lovely man.
You've plugged this training ground video a lot. I think it's the most plugged video on our channel, actually.
I don't know.
Someone says Obiang, you say we did a video with him.
I could plug some more. We got 1 or 2 others. How many we got? Nearly 400. But anyway, it's But anyway, Well, that was the highlight. We got let in. The doors were thrust open. We suddenly had some access to West Ham, and not so much. We're not very popular anymore. But when we were, and everyone was friendly, and he was nice. We got to interview him, and he was a lovely man. Unfortunately, it's not really worked out for him football wise. And he wants to go back to Italy, as I understand. And not only that, I think he's wanted to go back for a year, but he hasn't kicked up a fuss. He's not done an Arnie or take your pick. He's stayed. He's honoured his contract, and I think he leaves with the best wishes of everyone at West Ham, I'm sure, and scored that lovely goal against the dreaded foe, didn't he? So good on him.
Yeah, he's jack of all trades, master of none. This Pedro Obiang, I think he doesn't really have a role. He's a central midfielder. But he doesn't really go any further than that. He's not a defensive midfielder. He's not an attacking midfielder. He doesn't really go box to box. He doesn't really do much. But he's solid enough. He's good enough. But it got to the end when you seen him in the lineup, you thought, Obiang starting a little bit. And because he doesn't give anything extra, whoever he was replacing, you lost what that person offered. So if he replaced Mark Noble, you lost the passing aspect, the leadership aspect. If he was to replace Declan Rice, you'd lose the defensive side of the game and stuff. So Obiang was sort of a comfortable 6, 7 out of 10 every week, but he was never ever more than that, unless he whacked in a Thunderbolt winner, which he could do. He did it against Spurs, did it against Southampton away. He was capable of striking it, but we didn't see enough of it. 7 million though seems a bit low for what I would consider a Premier League proven midfielder, and he's the right age. Over 100 appearances for us. 7 million seems. I suppose it's when you look at other deals that's been done, like Bournemouth have just signed that crap striker to Sheffield United, haven't they? Musset for 10 million.
And Southampton signed that crap striker for 20 million as well. So yeah, it does looks wrong, doesn't it? It's the money involved.
I'm not biting. I'm not falling for that. You can be on all you want, but it just seems a bit low. But listen, good luck to him. Nothing against him. However, what is maybe concerning is the rumours that we're not going to replace him. Does that concern you, or do you think we will replace him? Or
yeah, I don't believe a word of it. I've spent all summer not believing anything, haven't I? So I don't believe that either. There'll be one or two more players coming in. I'm certain of that.
We'll elaborate on that in a little bit, because I want to do a section on the no money thing. We'll go through the transfer rumours coming in now, because there's a few more of them. Is there anyone you want to start with? Have you seen any that you?
Not a lot, mate. Actually, not a lot. You're gonna have to lead the dance on this one.
Let's start with this side of the border. Morelos, the Rangers striker.
Yes.
First of all, we are linked with 5 million. He's not leaving Rangers for 5 million. Okay, so people that are believing this rumor do not believe the 5 million. It's not happening. He's 10 million at least. I think they're wanting 15, 20. I don't think they'll get that, but he's at least 10 million. You're not getting him for 5.
No, I've got a limited knowledge of this guy, but he did come to my attention, and not through the normal Gonzo means. I didn't YouTube him. I think he lost his mind with the nutter, the Brown, Scott Brown at Celtic, who winds everyone up. I think Scott Brown wound him up, and I think he's a nutter as well. I think the Rangers players are nutters. I think you've basically got two nutters. And there's a lot of falling over going on, and a lot of grabbing and all the rest of it. And I think he got another card or something. And I remember Stephen Gerrard on there saying, "Oh look, I've tried to stick by him. This is the third time now," and that's the only reason he came to my attention. And then after that I watched out for him because Jermaine Defoe went up there, and I thought I kept on watching to see if Jermaine Defoe had been scoring, and Jermaine Defoe hadn't been scoring. This geezer had been scoring.
He's a really good talent. He's a really good talent. I would have wanted him as our first choice striker, I think, for second/third, which we're looking at. I think he's worth a gamble. He's young, but he is a nutter. Stephen Gerrard, I think he's actually improved quite a bit towards the end of last season. He stayed calm, but everyone knew why he stayed calm up here, and that's because the old firm was a few weeks away, so everyone knew he was staying calm because he wanted to play in that game. He just didn't want to miss the Celtic Rangers game. So, but he can be composed. But I've seen him a few games where defenders just niggle at him, knowing eventually he will strike. And I've seen him punch players, like the ball will be down the other side of the pitch, you just turn around and hit them, and you just think, what is wrong with you? There's no composure to him. But he is young, he is inexperienced to an extent. He does get bullied. He does get bullied up here. He's got a reputation up here, so that if he goes in for a tackle and someone hits the deck, the referees know chances are he's done something. But he's a liability. Now, we don't want to see him come on for West Ham when we're, defending a 1-0 lead or something, and 5 minutes later we're down 10 men because he's just headbutted Ben Mee, because Ben Mee's been chirping in his ear for the last 5 minutes or something. 10 million is quite pricey, but I'll tell you what, I'm struggling to think of another £10 million price striker that would be better. The guy, if he didn't have his attitude problem, be a damn good striker. And if you've got a damn good striker, his value only goes up. So for that, I think he scores plenty of goals. He's been keeping Defoe out the side. Now, I know Defoe's been getting on a bit. He's not quite Henrik Larsson style of that up here, but he scores regularly. He's a good threat. So yeah, it'd be decent enough. He's got enough about him. I think he'd cut it in the Premier League for a team. I think he will be in the Premier League eventually as well. Elneny, the Arsenal midfielder, nicknamed by some Arsenal fans Mohamed El Sideways, which would point you in direction of some of his passes.
Yes,
but some of our fans do Mark Noble. So, what would you like? Would you like to see him come in for Pedro Obiang or no?
Yeah, I think that would be maybe an improvement, maybe on Obiang there. He's all right. He's not a bad player.
He's not a great player.
He's not bad. We're not going to get a great player. We signed our great players. We're not going to get any more great players. We're going to get a bit of squad padding. As we said, spend your money on 2 big players and then fill the rest with what you can afford. And all, yeah. Pedro Obiang's not a great player. That's why I don't particularly argue with a 7-8 million that we're going to get for him. I think that's fine as well. So, yeah, I think Elneny's all right. He's technically okay. He's probably more mobile than what we've got as well. So, yeah, if he was happy to take a squad role, would be fine by me. What wages is going to be on? I don't know. They pay quite big wages, don't they, Arsenal? So is he going to come and drop wages? Possibly not. Would he come and think he was doing us a favour? Because he doesn't get into our first team. He is there to cover Pedro Obiang and and fill in a bit, really.
I think we need. I think I'd rather he came in to replace Sanchez. In all honesty, I'd rather see Sanchez leave. To be honest with you, I'd like to see the Elneny thing as a loan. I wouldn't want to see him join permanently. I think he's a makeshift. It'll do for a season type signing. Gets called upon if we require him. It's obviously it's a bit like Nasri to an extent, that we use him if we need him. If we don't need him, fine enough. It's just something we can turn our noses up at. We're now at the end. We're now in the transfer market bit where I don't want to say we're desperate, but we can no longer be picky, if you like. We're no longer flush with cash. Everyone knows it. Our squad spaces are limited as well. We're struggling to move a couple of people out of the team who we need to be sold. So we're now going to be linked with the cheaper supplements, the ones that are going to come in and be happy with a bit part role in the squad, if you like. And Elneny, Morelos, they're as good as you're going to get, I think, for that role. Another player that we've been linked with for forever, really, Gary Medel. He's back on the radar a little bit. Again, it could be 2 and 2 coming up with 5, but it could also be 2 and 2 coming up with 4.
Yeah, actually, he went mad. I saw him in the Copa America. Who did he get hold of? Might be Lionel Messi. Yeah. There's another one. Get him and your man at Rangers. We're
9 players.
All guns blazing, literally. I've never been a huge fan of him. I do remember his debut for Cardiff, and he was absolutely outstanding. But I'm working on the assumption he never went on to achieve anything, which is why he's playing in Turkey now and not in one of the major 3 leagues in Europe. So, but beggars can't be choosers in that sense, and I do think I've got the begging bowl out to one extent or another. I'd like to think we could conjure up something a little bit more inventive. I'd prefer something a little bit more left of field. Also, I've quite enjoyed watching the age profile of the squad come down. I think if he did come in, like you said, of Elneny, I think Gary Medel would certainly be the replacement for Sanchez. I see little point with replacing one player in his 30s with another one. Surely you just look to try and do something different. So I'd be disappointed. But having said that, if he came in and he played and he was considerably better than Sanchez, then it would still be an improvement of the squad. And that's what you've got to try and do: improve the squad.
He's versatile. He can play right back, which could be an issue next season, because going by Zabaleta in pre-season, I know it's on the pre-season, but I'm also going by the end of last season with Zabaleta. And Medel in the Copa America looked okay, to be fair, despite the fact he went a bit nuts in the 3rd place playoff against Argentina. He looked okay. He was, for what his age, he's almost like one of these players that is defying his age a little bit. He's adapting. And when we watched the Newcastle game, one thing we were missing, and again, I know it's only a friendly, but we've seen it last season, we did get bullied a little bit in the middle of the park at times. And if we've got a midfield with, let's just say we had a midfield where we've got Lanzini, Fornals and Anderson in there, it is a little bit light. And sometimes you will need a player like Medel to go in there and, I don't want to say take a booking, but almost take a booking. Put in one of those tackles that says you don't turn up at the London Stadium and try your fancy stuff. We're here to, you want to fight dirty, we can fight dirty as well.
That's exactly what I say to people who come to London Stadium.
Of course you do. That's why I say when people come to my bedroom,
come in here trying to hear fancy stuff.
No, that's not what I say. But he's one of the, but the thing is, though, these 2 players, I'd like to see replace Sanchez more than anything. I wouldn't want Sanchez and Medel on our books, for example. I wouldn't want that, because you just look at it and think, oh, okay, but beggars can't be choosers and all that. One player that we're trying to shift that we can't shift, Jordan Hugo. We tried to get him to go to Wigan, offered him £2.5 million to sort of cover the loss of wages, but he's refused to go. I say refused to go. He hasn't agreed terms for Wigan. There's a big difference. He's not saying I'm not leaving, period. He's just said, no thanks to that contract was on offer. Do you think we're going to be stuck with him when the window shuts? I mean, he was away with under 23s during the week. He scored, but he's been banished to the under 23 squad, basically. I mean, he must have been the oldest player by far in that team.
Yeah, it's a funny one, really. I've got no angst towards him at all. I don't blame him. When he was at Preston, probably the last thing he thought was a Premier League club had come in, and to come in on what would have been life-changing money, and it will be life-changing because if he sees out his contract, he will own his house. He will be able to put his children through school and all of that and do whatever he wants. It's not like Gareth Bale, who is already, a multi. Gareth Bale has might have 50 million in the bank. If he sticks around and digs his feet in, he might turn that 50 million into 70 million. Someone who's very rich, who can make himself even more rich. It's not what you're dealing with here. You're dealing with someone who's on life-changing money. I don't blame him for wanting to stick around and almost get another year out of it. He seems like a nice guy. If he's a nice guy, I'm assuming he's a nice man, a nice family man. Why wouldn't he want to secure his family? And I think, I guess people would talk about football ambition and all the rest of it, but it's a lot of money. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of disparity there, a lot of difference. So I don't blame him for sticking his heels in and asking for a payoff. It wasn't his fault. What happened? It wasn't his fault. He wasn't given a chance to play. It's not like he's played and failed. He could probably rightly say, "Well, hold on a second, give me a chance. I might have scored goals for you in the Premier League." He hasn't had a chance, and I think on this one, it was a transfer that we all scratched our heads at the time. This transfer should have never been sanctioned. We'd never heard of him, and because we'd never heard of him, we thought the price of a Hugo at 9 million was far too much. We all said it. We all joked about it. So it's not his fault.
Preston fans thought it was too much.
There you go. Yeah, they said he's not even our best striker. So, but then he turned out not to be. So, yeah, but it's none of that is his fault. That's actually, you've got to blame David Moyes, blame David Sullivan, blame somebody, but it's not Jordan Hugel's fault. And I've got no grief with him at all for, if he wants to stick around and take another year's wages, good for him.
Yeah, I can't blame him either. Basically, he's been had by West Ham a little bit. He got promised Premier League football, you'd imagine. I mean, no one's going to sit down a player, even if it is Hugo, and say, "Here, do you want to come play like one game for us, and then we'll try and sell you?" He would have got told, "Oh, come in. You're part of the squad, etc." He's come in believing he's joining a Premier League squad, not just a Premier League club, and he's almost been like shunned from the squad immediately. There was times under Dave Moyes we were getting beat, and he's the only striker on the bench, and Moyes was still not putting him on. He was putting on other players around about him, so he must have been sitting there going, "Hang on a minute, like you're not putting the striker on, then what does this say?" He got sold a false dream by West Ham United Football Club. So he's quite entitled, I think, to turn around and go, "Well, you've buggered me up for the last 18 months. Now it's my turn. I'm going to sit here."
That sounds nasty.
But he's going to sit there and say, "Well, it's my turn now. Shoes on their foot. This is where, West Ham were always in the position of power, i.e. we won't play you. We'll just loan you out. Now it's the ball's in Hugo's court. He's now in power saying, "Well, actually, I'm just not going to go anywhere, and you're going to keep paying me 30 grand a week, and I'll happily score goals in the under 23s for you." The funny thing is, I almost like get the feeling that he's working hard in training and stuff. He's sort of doing what Obiang is doing, but to try and stay at West Ham rather than get his move away. I feel sorry for him, to be quite honest with you. When we come to do our 25-man squad, he's not going to be in it. He's not going to be registered. So if he is here when the window shuts, it's almost like he's kissing goodbye to his career to an extent. Yeah. But he'd have looked at how much it's going to cost him financially or how much it's going to earn him financially. And he's maybe decided, you know what, it's worth just finishing my career to an extent early and earning all this dollar rather than taking a hit in pride and going to play for, with respect to them, Wigan Athletic. So he's staying at West Ham for the foreseeable. Is there any other transfer rumours you have seen?
I think so. Sidibe. Who's Sidibe?
The Monaco right back. He can't play left back.
Oh, I don't know. There you go. That's that.
He's not. I don't see anything in there. So I seen we were linked to Ajax as right back as well, and I've dismissed them pretty quickly because they're £15 million ish, £20 million ish, and I thought we're not spending that on the right back when we've got Johnson, Zabaleta, and Fredericks. We're not doing that. Do you know something? I wouldn't be surprised if their targets for next summer. I wouldn't be surprised we're looking at those types of players just in case Fredericks doesn't work out. Zabaleta's gone. We go out and spend 20 million on a right back. So I wouldn't be surprised we're already targeting a right back for next summer. But this summer, it's just not happening. It's literally the last position Pellegrini will be looking at, I think, to recruit. Zabaleta has sort of announced that he's heading back to Argentina at the end of the season. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, so it's his last year's contract. We all knew it was going to happen, but he's confirmed that he's away back to Argentina when the season ends. This is his last year in England. Good servant to Man City and West Ham.
Yeah, adapted well. You know, none of this foreign player unable to settle, come in, embrace the language, embrace the culture, settled in, deserves to go back home and enjoy some time, spend some of his money.
In 5 years' time, when we do that, what's your all-time Premier League 11? Zabaleta will be considered for the right back position in many people's. I remember World Cup 2014. I mean, this does show how old he is when I'm going back 5 years now. World Cup 2014, I thought he was the best right back in the world at that point for Argentina, Man City. He was just unbelievable. Still surprised. I still think we made a mistake in a year's contract extension, but next season will tell us whether it was correct or not. Anyone else, or do you want to talk about the money or the lack of the money?
Yeah. Crack on, mate. Crack on.
Right, let's for people that don't know, Claret and Hugh are leading this. Sean Wetson in particular is leading this by saying that that's it, done. No more money. Covers bare. Even if Obiang goes, no more money. And the only way we will sign someone is if Hernandez leaves, and then we'll have whatever money comes in to go get a striker. Pellegrini himself has said, I'm happy with the squad, and he's hinted that his three strikers are going to be Haller/Allaire, Antonio and Hernandez, saying they're good options to have. What do you make of the whole thing? Give me your analysis and I'll give you mine, because I don't want to influence, but I know it won't influence you, but you can probably get what I'm away to say.
Firstly, I would expect Pellegrini to say that. He is an experienced manager. He gives precious little away to the press. And I'm not singing a new tune here. I've had this where we were talking about Gomez or that midfielder or whoever it was. So he gives precious little away. And I don't think this is any different. In terms of the money, I don't believe that in any way, shape or form, in the same way that I don't believe you don't go and announce how much money you've got before you go and buy somebody. So I do think there is still some money left to buy somebody, and I think we're still bringing in one or two players. Do we have a ton of money? No, but that should be no news that's happened in the last week. We had Kieran Maguire on our stream. You interviewed Kieran Maguire, and he told us that actually the move to the Olympic Stadium was worth an additional $2 million a year to us. That was the time for shock. There was the shock. So we already know that's already factored in that we don't have an awful lot more money. The only other parameter to be factored in was what were David's going to do when they are basically going to look to take 40 million out the club. The final money that they loaned the club that they've been drawing interest on, they're due to take that out this coming season. Are they going to defer that or are they not? We still don't know. That's still up in the air. It's been rumoured that they might defer it. They might not. That's why there's no money in the kitty. That's why there is a net spend of 30 odd million. And I don't think there's a huge shock to it, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't. I still think. Do you remember when you said to Kieran, you said, so we should have about 30 million, 25, 30 million pound net to spend? You said something like that. And he looked at his papers. He said, yeah, I think that's a little lower than I'd expect. When he said a little lower than I'd expect, I got the impression he wasn't saying, oh, no, it should be 100 million. I thought he might have thought, actually, it's about 40 million or something like that. 40 million, maybe 50 at a push. I still think that might be the case. I still might think our spend will be about that. And I just think there's money left over in wages and this, that, and the other to pick up some loans or pick up these deals. Your Elneny. I just don't see any huge surprise in any of it, Gio. I don't know where the surprise is, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because months ago, Sean and X, who have good sources at the club, basically both were simultaneously saying 30 million is our spend. So at the minute, our net is believed to be about 32.5 million, which is in line before Obiang gets sold, that is. So it's in line with what we were told and stuff. So I fail to get angry because we were warned. And I do think sometimes, I think this is why Sean and X were told it was 30 million, because they were basically saying, look, we need to lower expectations this summer. We need to tell the fans we've got 30 million so that when we only spend 30 million or ish, it's expected. And if we spend 40, we look even better. So I think that's why the 30 got put there. That's why I'm not too fussed about it. And I've always said net spend only bothers me when the owners go on about it. Right? I only really get really annoyed about net spend is when Brady lies, because she's lied before in her paper. She's lied about the figures they've spent and stuff, and it's not that difficult to just go and prove that she's lied. David Sullivan used to bang on about, oh, we're going to spend this, we're going to spend that, but he doesn't, and that's when I get peed off, because I think this is just your, misleading, etc. But they've not done that this summer, and I've always said I'm not too fussed about net spend. Because actually, good business is when you come out with a small net spend, but you've improved your squad. You've improved your first 11. If you come out, if we came out of the summer with a profit, I'd be applauding them, saying, fantastic business. You've improved 11 and you've actually made a profit out of it. Well done. That's how business should be done, because that means 2-3 years ago, you got your transfers bang on and you're now cashing in on it 2-3 years down the line. So, if the window shut tonight, bar maybe a free striker just to beef up the options, I'd be happy. I think we've got 2 players that start in our first 11 next season. We've got a striker that is, in my opinion, too good for West Ham. We've gone out there and we've got a coup. So I'm happy. And it doesn't really matter what we spent. But I'll tell you what, I've got a problem with Gonzo. And that is the spin. It's happening again. It's this misleading thing. It's coming out again. And I think Sean's good at what he does, but the problem is he's too good at what he does, because he gets all this information and he's going, oh, we don't have any money, we don't have any money. And then he's saying, oh, Pellegrini's happy with his squad. But there's a big difference between being happy with your squad and not wanting to spend more money. It's not, they don't go hand in hand. Of course, Pellegrini's happy. You cannot spend 180 million in 2 summers and turn around to the board and go, I'm still not happy with my team, because they're going to say, well, you've spent the money wrong. Of course he's happy with his team. But at the same time, of course, he wants to upgrade Obiang. Of course, he wants to upgrade Hernandez. Of course, he wants to add more players. The money is just not there to do it. So what do you expect him to say? Of course, he's going to sit there and say, I'm happy with what I've got. He probably is, because he knows that the squad in the team is good enough to get top 10 at least. He knows that. He knows if he can keep them all fit, he's knocking on the door of 7th and 8th. He knows he's got a cup run in that squad. But there's no way he doesn't want to spend more cash. Now, if we are skint, we are skint. And I would just rather all this news that comes out of the club through Clarity and Hugh and Sean, I would just rather it was a case of we are skint. He did a tweet the other day saying Aller cost us 81 million in cash. No, it doesn't. You can't just make up figures to sort of justify not spending. I get it. We were planning on spending X amount on a striker. We've spent a lot more than we wanted to on a striker in order to get the right striker. We've had to pay Haller over 18 months instead of 3-4 years. So there's going to be repercussions, and that is there's no more, or there's little money left between now and then the summer. That's not a problem. It's fine. You've done what you had to do to get the player that Pellegrini wanted up front. Perfect. Credit. Well done. But there's no need for all this bollocks that comes after it, as if to justify what you've done. Instead of justifying it by going, well, it's 81 million, but just justify it by saying Pellegrini wanted him and we've gone and got a top striker in. Done. End of story. That's all you have to do. And Haller/Allaire will justify it on the pitch by scoring goals and setting up goals. Then you can turn around and say that's why we spent all that money in 18 months. And I don't know, it's just this misleading/leaks thing that I don't like. I'm reading words, but I'm hearing excuses, and it's almost like the manager is almost being used as a reason as to why we're not spending cash. Because every article is Pellegrini's happy with the squad, but we have to have trust in Pellegrini. Well, there's 2 different things though. He can be happy, but he could also want to add.
Yeah, I think people are saying in Pellegrini we trust for far too much anyway, and certainly not just coming from Claret and Hugh. I think Sean got the tweet wrong there. But I also, I mean, I think he wasn't saying. Here's the thing: it got too technical with the numbers and stuff like that. I don't think he wasn't saying that Haller cost 81 million. He was trying to make a comparison, as you say, between spending money over 5 years, or over 18 months. And he just the trouble is people don't want to hear it, and that's the real. He's tried to do a detailed breakdown, but that was just a tweet by Sean. That wasn't. I saw it. I don't get involved because I don't like to because I don't like getting involved with tweets, particularly with people I know on there. Because my initial instinct is to try and defend people, and so I don't want to. Number one, I don't want to overly wade in there, and number two, I also don't want to make things worse or dig him out or anything like it. It's different when you know people, but I looked at that tweet and I thought, oh, he's gonna regret that one. And then I saw a load of people saying, oh, this article, but it was never an article. It was a tweet. That it wasn't referencing an article on Claret and Hugh, the 80-odd million, but I saw him getting a load of stick, like Claret and Hugh had written an article basically saying Haller had cost 80 million, which of course he hadn't. And he got the tweet wrong, but I don't know, with that one, mate, I've written a lot of tweets that are wrong, which I wouldn't want particularly over-analysed.
But you don't ever come on here and say, well, my top source at the club says this, etc. Sean is an unofficial spokesman for the owners, whether he likes it or not, and he's put himself in that position.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
so when he puts out a tweet like that, people assume, and in my opinion, rightly assume, it's come from someone at West Ham. When I say someone, it's a 50-50 choice.
Yeah, well, no, okay. On that one, look, the club are certainly briefing Sean on an almost daily basis, saying the Skint, okay, at the moment, or saying there's no money. The 80, nobody from the club, I think, briefed Sean to say Haller cost 80 million. I think you look at Sean's account, look at tweets and replies. He comes under attack a lot. He gets a lot of abuse on there. And regardless of whether you think he's right or wrong, put yourself in a position where you're getting. Regardless of whether you think you're put in that position, even imagine you're put in that position, then try and put yourself in a position where you're taking a load of stick on the internet. And I'd imagine you probably type quite quickly and try and justify yourself. He got a tweet wrong. That's what happened there. With the spin, which undoubtedly the club are putting out, and it depends on whether you believe it or not. And if you don't believe it, then that's fine. I don't believe it. So it's either been done for a sinister reason, or it has been done for the reason that I hope it's been done for, which is to alert other clubs that we're going to be looking to buy for that we have no money. So hopefully when we go in for your man from Rangers and they want 15 million, we can say, look, we've really struggled to get this 9 million together. And I like to hope and think that it's a game of that. But I also do think the timing of the news was crucial here, Geo, and quite pivotal. I've struggled with the I've tried not to. I've limited the old social media for the past 2 days since we lost to Newcastle, and because I do feel we went from the jubilation of signing Haller and everybody thinking about how good our first 11 could be, to losing to Newcastle, and things turned sour on social media pretty damn quickly. And I do think all that reaction to that news is worse because we lost to Newcastle. Everyone's saying, oh, the squad ain't good enough. The squad ain't good enough. Actually, I'm still of that mindset when we signed Haller. I'm still scribbling that my favourite first 11 down in my team and thinking, well, once Man City thrash us on the first game of the season, we're going to do some teams some damage. And I don't think I ever really bought into the fact that we were going to start finishing top 5 or 6. Subsequently, I wasn't mega disappointed with the Newcastle result. And because of the Kieran Maguire and all the other things, I certainly wasn't surprised to hear that we got no money.
Yeah, I think there's one or two more in it. I think it'll be low fees. I think it might be 3s. I think Pellegrini's maybe going to have to get his arm twisted on his stance on loan signings and say, listen, you can get that player, but it's a loan deal, so you're going to have to just chill on the loans, etc. I do think there'll be 1 or 2 done. No director of football, Usalos or David Sullivan, will be able to sit on their hands for the last 3 weeks. It's their job, isn't it? This is where they get to put their armor on and polish it and look like a knight, because this is your bread and butter. Usalos has been spending since the last one shot. And ignore January. We never spend in January. He's been since September till now. He's been preparing for this window, and I've struggled to believe he's going to have 2 players, big bucks, and that's it. He's going to have his £3-4 million players that he's got on his radar and stuff, and they're going to get rid of Obiang. They're going to try and get rid of Hugo, scrimp all the money together, and even if it's just £5 million, there's a good chance Usalos goes, I know exactly who I'm going to go get for £5 million, because all season he's been preparing. He doesn't just prepare for big bucks; he prepares for the small ones as well. He will know, okay, I'm going to buy these 2 big ticket ones, and I've got 2 or 3 small free gambles in me. And that's the ones he's going to have to focus on. He doesn't need to focus on Fornals or Alier, because you can go on who scored and find all the stats just like that. Anyone can do it. But what you can't do is go on who scored and find the stats for French second division, for example. That's the ones you need to go scout. That's the ones you need to send your best scouts to 6-7 times a season and get well-documented reports that you need to watch your highlights reels for, etc. And that's ones he will probably have been putting more time into. These deals he'll put more time into in the summer. But prior to the summer, it's those £3-4 million signings he will be watching a little bit. So I think there's a couple of small business to be done.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I believe. I think he would like to move Cresswell on if he could. I certainly do believe Masuaku's starting at left back for a first game of the season if he's fit. I think if he could move Cresswell on and replace Cresswell, that's something he'd look to do as well. So I do think there is business to be done.
Yeah, right. Anyway, are you ready for some questions?
Yes.
We'll start with Twitter. No, this is YouTube, actually. We put the post up on your subscriber feed. Some people reply. Thank you to those who do. We're going to fire through some of them. Sabidi deal from Zach. We've done that. Davey G. Hammer, Dave Goodyear says, what's your thoughts on Brown potentially being sold?
Hello, Dave. He was never going to make the team this season. And I think he started well at Oxford, didn't he? And then he sort of petered off. We were starting to get updates throughout the season from I think it was Oxford fan came on the forum actually, was certainly very pleased with him at the start of the season, and then was not so much towards the end. And so I think it is probably time for him to go and start his career elsewhere. So right, it's a real shame. You know, we thought he was going to be a good player for us, and Pask as well, who unfortunately has been released. So yeah, one of those things that he wasn't going to get anywhere near the first team this season.
He's the one player I wanted to see make it, though. He's got that style that I like. He's got a trick in him. He's got a goal in him. He's got an assist in him. He takes players on. It's just a shame. I think he'll be sold as well. I think he's not involved in the preseason squad, etc. And he's one of those players who might try and get $500,000 for just to boost the coffers a little bit more. And you might laugh at $500,000, but add it to buy him, and it turns your $3 million budget into $4 million budget, which could be quite a lot. It could be a Balbuena or something. I think he'll go, which is frustrating. But it's someone I will keep an eye on when he leaves. It's a bit like Freddie Sears. When Freddie Sears left, you always kept an eye on how he's done. Everyone knows how he's doing. And I think Marcus Brown will be that kind of player for me. Charlie Holland, how have you been impressed with the performances of Johnson and Cullen this pre-season?
No, I wouldn't say that. No, I've been pleased to see Johnson, and I think he'll go on to do good things. I wouldn't. He's been all right. He's been all right. I wouldn't say I've been thrilled or pleased with the performances. I think that might be stretching it, but I think he's got a really good season ahead of him, Johnson.
I've been impressed by Johnson. He made a big mistake in Austria. I'm glad he made that mistake. He'll learn from it. Cullen hasn't impressed me. I've actually been disappointed by Cullen. A lot of headless chicken running about, I would say, pressing players on his own and stuff. No other players pressing, but he's pressing. You think, well, it's a bit pointless and no one's backing you up, because that player's just going to knock it to the guy beside you. In that little hustle and bustle you've just been doing for the last 10 seconds is all a bit for no reason. And if anything now, the centre midfielder is now missing somebody because you've ran out of position. It's a shame. I would have liked to have seen Cullen make it. He looked good about 3 years ago, but the thing is, we've not seen him for 3 years, and that says a lot about him. I wouldn't be disappointed if he was still here, though, Gonzo. Do you know if the window shuts and Cullen's part of the team in Pellegrini says, you know what, we're giving this guy Obiang space next season?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be disappointed. I would say, okay, it's a gamble. but it's a 6-month gamble. If it goes wrong, we can rectify it in January. And even if he was Obiang's position, he's probably going to get 2-3 appearances between then and January, because Obiang didn't play that much last season. But I can't see it. I've been disappointed by him. Ben Davies, do you think players moving to China for huge money is affecting the transfer market elsewhere?
What, do you think he means outside of England?
I don't know. I assume so. Just in general, I guess.
Well, I don't think it's affecting the transfer market here. I think we've had some isolated incident. I think you've seen some scattergun bits where Oscar left Chelsea, but was Oscar really the best player at Chelsea? No. Obviously, Tevez didn't last very long, did he? But didn't need to be there long. He earned so much money each week. No, I think globally it's having very, very little impact.
Yeah, I don't think it has as well. I don't think it's had a big impact as people first feared. When they first came on the scene and they were chucking money at players when they went and got Oscar for 70 million or whatever, when they got Hulk over there pretty quick, you thought, oh, this isn't good news for football.
Yeah.
It sort of stopped a little bit. The Rondon one's annoying for clubs looking at Rondon, but as soon as you hear China's involved these days, you almost practically think, oh, well, bugger that player off because we ain't getting him. There's no point competing. Let's just move on to our next target. And at the end of the day, I don't know. It doesn't bother me, China. I thought a couple of years ago, I thought it was going to be a bad thing for football. It's not a good thing for football, but it's nowhere near as what I expected. Ray Borham says, you can only pick one for the rest of your life. Pint of beer, cup of tea, or a cheeky cocktail.
A cup of tea.
That was quick.
Yeah, cup of tea. Yeah. I drink tea every day, don't I? Yeah. Can't even wake up in the morning without a cup of tea. Yeah, I could go the rest of my life without beer. Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah. See, I like a cocktail though. I do like as he called it, a cheeky one. But the one thing I couldn't go without that he hasn't mentioned is vodka. I like my vodka. That's the drink I like.
Well, that's why he was very clear about I'd rather keep a cup of tea, and if I had to not have a beer, then whatever. There's something else. You have a cider, not I drink the stuff, but there's other stuff to drink. So yeah, you'd keep your cup of tea.
I could have a vodka for breakfast every morning though. That could replace my tea. Yeah, I'll go a cup of tea as well, but luckily vodka's not in there. Jim's just asked about the rumours about the money being left. What position do you still feel needs more depth or strengthening?
It's striker. It is striker. I wasn't thrilled to see either Antonio or Hernandez there. I had higher hopes for both, but I'm very, very mindful. My main disappointment with those Asia games was he never really played his best team. He tried to split it up and mix it up a bit and all the rest of it. So I'm mindful that we've not seen either Antonio or Chicharito playing in front of the best team. So, and I think that best team is going to be absolutely superb. So I think you're going to get a very, very different thing if that whole team's playing and we're playing well. Whatever, pick your own team in your mind with Fornals and Anderson and whatever, Wilshere, whatever you've got. Pick your own team in your own mind and imagine Haller's up front. Just imagine that team's doing well and Haller comes off after 70 minutes. I think then you put Chicharito or Antonio into that team, that fantastic team behind them. I think we're seeing things a little bit better anyway. But striker could do with a little bit more depth at striker. I've wanted an athletic midfielder for 3-4 seasons now. Maybe that's just not Pellegrini's style of play. So maybe it's just like a fart in the wind, really, and it's just not going to materialise.
I think we need to sort out left back, but that's a long term thing. That's not a quick fix. We don't need a backup. We need a first choice left back, and that means big money. But for this window, striker, something? The more I think about it, the more I come round to Llorente. To be honest with you, I do think he's physical. When Hernandez plays, you can just tell we're screaming out for someone with a physical presence and just stand in the middle of the defenders or something, just to allow the players around you to start playing football. And so I think Llorente's cheap. He's a no risk. It's a 1-year deal, and he won't play very much. But he's more like Haller than Hernandez will ever be. So if you're going to take off one player and chuck on someone completely different, which is what we're going to be doing next season, it's just not going to work. It might work sometimes, but generally speaking, it's not good, especially if Haller misses a game. All season, your team's set up with this physical striker, then suddenly you put in a little poacher. The whole team, everyone suffers for it. The other 9 outfielders suffer because your striker has changed. So I would like to go for someone that's a little bit more like Haller than Hernandez, but bearing in mind the budget and stuff. So I would go for Llorente if we could. And striker wise, David Stafford says, would you go for Balotelli or Costa as backup striker?
Yes, but I don't think either of those would go for it. I think either of those want to be backup striker to anyone, particularly not at a club like West Ham. Being backup striker at Manchester United or somewhere, they might accept it. They might be happy to go to Man City and be backup striker to Aguero. That's fine. Players of that caliber don't want to come to West Ham and be backup. And if they do, they're going to get really, really annoyed very quickly.
I would love Diego Costa. I actually think he's the type of player who would think, you know what, I'll come and sit on your bench, but give me a couple of months and I'll be in the first team because I'm good enough. I will come there and I'll show you why I should be in your first team. And I think he's got that sort of, he's a bit like a cheaper version of Zlatan. He's been at it. Have you heard him in the last week or so?
He's brilliant.
He's fantastic.
I loved it. Did you hear with Carlos Vela?
Yeah.
Oh, he was absolutely disgusted. That for those of you who don't know, they've obviously got MLS have got their own TV channel or whatever, or an interviewer, and somebody said to him, who do you think is the best player in the MLS, you or Carlos Vela? And he sort of looked, what sort of crazy question is this? And he said, oh, well, Carlos Vela's got X amount of goals and X amount of assists this season. So, technically he's the best. He said, oh, Carlos Vela? Zlatan said. An interviewer said 29. He said, yeah, where was I playing when I was 29? He said, I'm the best player.
I liked it when they said something about how he gets angry with his teammates.
I didn't see that.
And he says something like, it's because I'm better than them all. And he goes, I've got 33 trophies. I've got more than the rest of the MLS combined. And you can see the reporters are just like, can't really argue with him. I think Costa's got that little thing about it. And I think that if he was to come and be on the bench for West Ham, I think he would fancy himself to get into our first team. I really do. And do you know something? Could you imagine us playing at home against one of the bottom half table that we're struggling to win against? And you've got Costa and Haller up front.
Costa's a nutter. What about Costa partnering Rangers? Yeah, that'd be a firework display, wouldn't it?
Yeah, throw in Medell. 8 players, 8-a-side football.
Absolutely.
It's just game abandoned, too many red cards. I don't know. I think it's because I was like a Diego Costa fanboy. Do you know when he was at Chelsea? I used to love watching I should watch what I say on this channel. You know what? you know what? I'm going to say it. I loved watching Chelsea because of Diego Costa. I used to love it. He had this unknown quantity about him. He was going to do nothing on the pitch. He was going to run around kicking everyone. He was going to score a hat trick. You just didn't know what you were going to get. I used to tune in I watch a lot of Premier League football anyway, but I used to watch Chelsea for Diego Costa almost. And when he was getting wound up, I used to get excited. I thought, yes, this is going to kick off at some point. He is one of the most underrated strikers in the Premier League, I think, in my lifetime.
That would be an interesting question, actually. Which opposition team, which non-West Ham club have you tuned in to watch one player, aside from the obvious, Messi and all that? Be interesting, wouldn't it, to see who you tune in to watch?
When I was younger, when I was a boy, it was Henry and Perez. But my mum used to tell me to watch Robert Perez play football. My mum used to say to me, watch how he plays and copy him at the park and stuff. And it was him that was sort of my first non-West Ham idol, if you like. My mum made me sort of idolise Robert Perez. Fun fact.
Oh.
So if I go diving, you know what? My mum knows to copy him. If I start passing it at a penalty, you know what?
Yeah. I was going to say some over elaborate penalty which doesn't yield a goal. Yeah.
Anyway, back to West Ham. Vincent Ritchie, would you take two scenarios coming up? Would you take a top 4 finish, but you're out the cups early, or you win a cup but you finish mid-table?
Oh, win a cup, win a trophy. Win a trophy, yes, please.
Me too. It's the same for me. I know a lot of people argue Champions League, but unfortunately, me and Gonzo have always said the trophy over fourth in the league. It's not the right thing for the club. It's not the right thing for money. It's not the right thing for business. But we're here for the memories. We're football fans.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my day out. That's a question. The question was for us, and I'm talking about my day out. Yeah.
Despite what we just spoke about 10 minutes ago, we're not worried about the dollar at the club, the bottom line. That's for Brady and Sullivan to worry about. We are there for memories. We're there for experiences. So give us the cup final any day of the week.
Yeah, for sure.
Adin Tanit says, which youth player will surprise us most this season? I like this question. Not who will break through, who will surprise you the most?
Maybe young Diallo coming through there might surprise us because he shouldn't get on the bench at all. He's too young, but he might well make the bench at some point. The trouble is, once with people like Johnson, the genie's out the bottle. He played against Man City last season.
I've got a player.
Oh, have you now? Go on then.
Connor Coventry. I think Cullen will go. I think Cullen's going. Connor Coventry is now too. You don't have to register him. He's the right age, so he doesn't count as your 25-man squad. And I do think he's been involved in little bits and pieces sometimes. He's been involved enough to suggest that he's sort of on the brink of the first team. And apparently the boy's got it all. We've seen it a little bit against Macclesfield, but apparently he's got a lot of talent. And I do think he's the one. He's a surprise factor because he doesn't have the hype that Nathan Holland's got. Nathan Holland's got a lot of hype. Ben Johnson, like you said, we know him. We've seen him now. It's gone. The secret's gone. But I think Connor Coventry it's Joe Powell's another one that you could say, but I think he's going to go on loan this summer.
He is. He's more like a man now. His physique. He's he looked all right when I saw him in the old Hong Kong Sevens.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it was decent. But it looked like a grown man.
Northampton Town players were putting about him, like they were saying that he's the best technical player they've seen at Northampton in a long, long time.
What, Joe Powell?
Yeah.
I'd not seen anything of him until I watched that. And I watched 3 games in that Hong Kong tournament, and I was saying to people on the internet had to tell me. I was saying, "Who's this geezer? Who is he?" And people were saying, that's Joe Powell.
You'd have seen his goals last season when he was at Northampton. He scored a couple of last-minute winners and a free kick as well.
I didn't. Honestly, I didn't.
Go do your Gonzo on YouTube. There's a couple of belters in there. They're really good strikes as well. There was one he came off the bench and they were losing. I think he set up the equaliser and he scored the winner in the last minute. And it was like a 20-yard volley with his weak foot. I think it was proper decent stuff. Flight time. What is the least amount of goals you'd expect from Aller this season to justify his price tag? Interesting question.
Yeah, I'm not expecting him to score 20 goals. I've got to say, I'm really not. I'd like him to score. If we're talking league goals, let's say it's league goals, all right? Just to make it clear, I'd like him to score 13 league goals this season or more.
I'll say 12. I think the difficulty with him is I think it's more about his all-round game. He sets up goals as well. And I think he almost, even if he doesn't set them up, I think he almost gives Anderson, Lanzini, Fornals, Antonio, I think he almost gives them all a goal as well, just by being on the pitch. He might not be the assist, but he'll be there with the distraction, the movement, etc. He might do the sort of the hockey assist where he gives it to the guy that does the assist in that. So I think it's going to be hard to measure, but 12... We have to remember, though, Marco Navish scored 11, right? And he's the first player. He's only the 4th ever player to score more than 10 goals in a Premier League season for West Ham back-to-back. I mean, that shows we've been lacking a consistent goal scorer at the club. No player has ever scored in the Premier League 20 goals or more in the league only for West Ham. Sheringham did it in the Champions League. Cotty did it in the old Division 1. I think 12, 13 goals is a lot for West Ham. But I'll tell you what's key. Mark Noble playing, because if he's not, he's probably going to be the pen taker, and that's going to boost his numbers. And with VAR and stuff, you'd expect the penalty taker at West Ham next season to get 4 or 5 goals. So if he was on penalty duty, you're probably looking at 16, 17, 18 goals then next season. It all depends on if Noble's going to be on the pitch and who's taking the pens. Finn JD. So you asked about midfielder links. You mentioned Elneny, but you also mentioned Yao Palhina.
Don't know.
You've seen that
Sorry.
link.
No, sorry. Don't know him.
I don't know the player. It's about 4.5 million, which is interesting because we were talking about the rough price. 4.5 million. Plays for Sporting Lisbon. But I knew Gonzo didn't know him, and I don't know him, so we're not going to sit and discuss someone.
I thought we were still in with a chance of getting Quaylar. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait and see. Social media. Tony, next year's our 125th anniversary. Is it true we're getting a new badge, and will it be for just the 1 year or permanent? Gonzo, what's the answer?
Well, I don't know. I'm not in the know, but I'll go yes.
It's for 1 year. George Jones. This is Twitter now. George Jones _01. George says, "What's your top 3 realistic targets for the left back position?"
Oh, blimey! Realistic. I'll tell you, some realistic. I can't think of any realistic. I'll give you an unrealistic one. I'd like to go and get Sessegnon and play him at left back. There you go. There's your attacking left back. Played pretty much half a season of Championship at left back. I'd like to go and get that boy. I tell you. My knowledge of the left backs isn't. What's my knowledge of left backs? My knowledge of anyone is not particularly good. No, don't know. Can't say.
I would have liked to have got the. I've always been a fan of Kieran Tierney, and he looks like he's on the verge of a move to Arsenal, which is disappointing to an extent because I do think we could have got in there a year ago, 2 years ago, and picked him up for a fraction of the cost he is today. 25 million. I think it's a fair price, though. You get a decent left back out of him. So the one player, Jamal Lewis, the Norwich left back. It's a pity Norwich come up because someone's going to. His price has doubled at least. But I think he's a decent left back as well. Third choice left back. I don't know. You're going to have to come back to me on that. Someone from the Bundesliga or something probably. Adam West Levitt says, "Can we talk about the no standing thing? What came out?" Now, have you read this?
Yes.
You read it at Clanahue, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you didn't read the meeting minutes.
Oh, crikey, no.
Okay, so you've read a bit of it. You've read the breakdown.
Yeah.
To give context, there's a safety meeting that happens every so often, and in it they were talking about the safe standing or persistent standing. They were talking about persistent standing at London Stadium and about how they can sort of fix it. Now, originally when I started reading, I thought, "Oh no, they're not a way to send stewards in," but it's actually in the upper tiers. They're concerned about standing in the upper tiers, and they're now talking about bringing in. Wolves have done it this summer. Celtic have got it. Tottenham have got it. You know, the seats with the rail in front of them, so you can essentially stand. So if safe standing comes around, it's ready. Is that something you'd like to see brought in, or are you concerned that there's going to be a fight between sitting and standing again? Or
well, I've been concerned for some time that someone's just going to fall over and die. Is my what it is my concern. At Tottenham,
I'm a bit concerned about that when I see Sanchez run as well.
If Tottenham or any of these stadiums, you're just dead. Look at my seat. If you don't know where I sit, go and look at one of the vlogs. Not the training ground vlog. Not the training ground vlog.
Plugging. Bloody hell, you're plugging everything.
Okay, yeah, not the training ground vlog. Well, after you've watched a training ground vlog, go and watch one of the match day vlogs, and you'll see where I sit. It's dangerous. It is absolutely dangerous. There's no doubt about it. How they got a safety certificate for that in the first place? What it does, it puts me bang in the danger zone. Although we do not do persistent standing in my section, it has to be said we're all very, very well behaved.
But we do celebrating.
Well, you do celebrate, and that's it. And you'll do stand up, and every time I take the kids, my wife will say to me, "Be careful with them," and it is dangerous. It is dangerous. There's no doubt about it. I would have if it was, I think they probably need to put, some more wire there or something like that. Because if you do fall over there, and I'm amazed nobody has, you're dead, because the drop is vast. You're not just dropping down into the next tier. You're dropping from the upper tier down to ground level.
It's 60 foot or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive, and there's no nice spongy carpet to break your fall on that bit. You're falling straight on, to scaffolding in essence. Scaffold the blocks holding the scaffolding up. So Yeah, I am not. I am not surprised. Do I particularly want it? No. Is it good for me? No. Is it the right thing to do? Probably.
Interesting. Mark Weir, Hammer _ Upton. What's your opinion on VAR, especially after the way it affected the England women's team in the World Cup? It's good in one sense, but I still think it could be controversial at times.
Yeah, I think, Mark, I think it's going to be controversial, mate. I think they're still going to get things wrong. I want it sped up. I want to make sure we see it on the screens in the ground. I'm not sure what their plan is for the Premier League. I'm sick of all this. I'm a rugby fan, as many of you will know. I'm a cricket fan. We get to see all this on the screen. You get to see it in the tennis. I don't want it becoming some secret squirrel thing that only the fourth official, the referee, and whoever's sitting upstairs in the secret box is going to know about. So, but they will get things wrong. They will. I don't know if it's going to improve the game. We'll soon know. I just hope that they are brave enough that if it doesn't work and actually is making the game worse, that people are brave enough to say, "Do you know what? We're going to go back to how it was."
It's tricky, isn't it? It's difficult because I've seen some games where VAR gets it bang on and it's the right thing. But I've seen other games I've watched, VAR just ruins it. It just sucks. It takes about 90 seconds or something. I've seen some games where there's something that concerns me. I'll get onto that in a second. But the people in the room, are they not they're beside an airport, aren't they? Our ones, are they not in a room beside an airport? I think our VAR people are in a room beside an airport somewhere watching all the games. But some of the games I've watched, they're too pussy. The VAR people watch it, and then they just say to the ref, "Don't know, mate, you're gonna have to go look yourself." So he's got, after waiting for these guys to have a look for about a minute, the ref's then got to run over the pitch and look for himself anyway.
Well, that's what should be happening anyway.
I think so.
Let the referee look at the screen anyway.
I think the referee needs to be in control of the game. I think it's important because if they overrule the referee, surely that's going to affect the referee's confidence. Surely he's going to start doubting himself next time. He won't peep, etc. So that's one thing. I do think it should be used for black and white decisions only, i.e. offside. I think there's too much grey ones, which is a foul in the box, etc. Some referees would give it.
Handball is the one that's been.
This is what I'm
problematic.
On to. The handball, it's not VAR for me. It's a new rule, which is basically if your arm is out away from your body, it's a foul. Essentially, you could just run in the box and just boot it out of someone's arm. It's a pen. I've seen some pens given Copa America, African nations. Now, African nations didn't have VAR until the quarterfinals, which is a bit strange. So in the first knockout round in the group stages, no VAR. Then they brought it in. But this arm away from your body thing is just rubbish because they're sliding naturally. We've seen it in the Champions League when Spurs played Man City. Danny Rose did a slide tackle to block a shot. His arm was in a perfectly natural position. It wasn't sticking up in the air. It was just away from his body. He was sliding. The ball hit his arm. And the referee and checked and come back as not a pen. And you just think, right, okay, well, this is where the rule is wrong, in my opinion. The handball rule is now far too complicated. They're trying to make it easier, so when referees use VAR, it's the question is the arm away from the body? Yes or no? Then it's a pen. So they're trying to make it easier, but actually what they've done is make it more difficult to just defend normally. Defenders over the summer have almost got to learn a new technique to block shots, etc. You've almost got to run around with your arms behind your back in the box because if someone hits a shot and it hits the arm, you're in trouble. In Bundesliga they've been using VAR. The fans hate it. They want rid of it. They hate VAR. So it's the handball rule that's an issue for me more than VAR. And do you know something? As a fan channel, as a West Ham fan channel, we're going to be talking about it a lot.
Do you know that is a great point? We've not even spoke about that. Well, how much is that going to affect our reviews? How much of our reviews are we going to be talking? Because you know me, whenever you start talking about referees, I hate talking about it. I just want to review the skill and or the lack of. Oh, mate, it'd be terrible. It'd be terrible. People be switching off.
It's going to be strange. It's going to be a lot of frustration. We will get used to it eventually. It's not going to be like the goal line decision thing where it's an instant buzz of the referees watching. You keep playing, buzz or not. It's a right or wrong decision. VAR is going to be problematic next season. But it might benefit West Ham in the long run. It should benefit West Ham in the long run. You have to look at our Man City friendly. We had the penalty in the first half we should have had, and then City's one was questionable at the other end. That's two decisions VAR we went to. I'll tell you what's not weird though. They're not adding time on at the end for it. I watched African Nations final, right? In the second half, there were 6 substitutes. Someone had a head knocker at 2 minutes. There was a VAR decision to make. The referee had to go check it. He added on 4 minutes at the end. I thought, where have you got that from? It's about 8 minutes at least needs to be added on. They're not really adding time on for VAR, so it's a bit strange. But anyway, back to Twitter questions. We don't have many left, to be fair. I want to move on to YouTube live ones to an extent. Yeah, let's just move on to YouTube live. Well, last one, underscore DJ. Should we keep Hernandez or look for a more versatile forward? I mean, do you think, would you sell him, Hernandez?
Well, we want to. We want to sell him. We want to do exactly what M's suggestion is there, which is sell him and look for a more versatile forward. We can't sell him. No one wants to buy him. There'll be plenty of people that want to take him for free in a year, but we just can't. Yes, unfortunately what we want to do and what we can do are 2 very different things.
By the way, our on Twitter, our question where people reply to got hijacked by my group chat today. So Al, Tom Down, and Tom Bull all left naughty questions.
Naughty questions.
You're only getting one. So would you like Tom Downs, Tom Bulls, or Al's? They're all unrelated to football. They got hijacked.
Well, the 2 Toms are naughty boys, so we better have Al's probably more sensible, I'd imagine.
So do you want Al's?
Yeah.
Do you think the moon landing was fake?
Brilliant.
Okay,
brilliant. Well, no. I mean, what a week to ask. Look, for those of you that don't know, go and look at my Twitter. I was actually at a space lecture this week at Surrey University. Make myself sound all clever.
Absolute geek.
Yeah, I know. I know for a fact it wasn't faked. In fact, they've got these things called, what are they called? Laser ranging retro reflectors. Which are basically when all the Apollo missions went up there, they left these mirrors, laser reflectors on the lunar surface. And what you can actually go to Winchester and do it. And how we now measure what the moon is doing is basically bounce lasers off these reflectors. You can actually go up there and see them. As opposed to that, I mean, even if you wanted to believe that NASA had a conspiracy, the Japanese space agency, their lunar orbiter, has pictured the Bay of Tranquility and the landing sites. The Russians have, the Chinese have, the Indians have. Right.
Okay. Right.
I mean, I could go on for hours. I mean, they've not been fake. There is a ton, just tons and tons of evidence, and you can go and see it yourself if you want to.
I think it was fake. Just annoy Gonzo. I think it was fake. Daz, in the live chat, we're going to take questions from the live chat before we wrap this up. Daz says, which one player do you not want to get injured early? As we all know, we will get injuries. It's got to be Wiltshire, isn't it?
That'd be nice. Yeah, it'd be nice for him not
to. Actually, no, Fabianski. I dread what would happen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you can have your Declan Rice. You can have Sanchez in there.
Yeah, I will say Fabianski. Mark Sherbin Brown, is this Noble's last season?
No. But it'll be a reduced playing time this season, and that will go on until I would hope to think he finishes his career at West Ham. But I hope to think that Mark is a stalwart and I mean, not Mark Sherwin Brown. Mark Noble is a West Ham stalwart enough to be happy enough to know when he does have his final season, which I don't think is next season, that he might only be a bench player and he's sort of club captain. Almost like John Terry's last season at Chelsea, if you like. And I hope he's happy enough with that because he's had a great career. I don't want to see him go. He's
got a year left after next season. He's got 2 years left on his contract. But I tell you what, if we somehow win a cup next season, I hope he does retire. I hope he goes out last home game of the season. I hope if we win the FA Cup, it's a bit awkward because that's after the season. But if we won the League Cup, last home game of the season, I would love to see him just do a lap of honour on his own with the cup. And that's it. That's the last we see of Mark Noble as a Premier League footballer. Go out on a high because he ain't getting better than that. But saying that, he would then fancy leading us into Europe, won't he? He'd think finally, after Astra and Gugu 2 years in a row, I can now finally get to play in a Europa League and still be uncapped by England. Someone's Moore WHU, who would be the best Pellegrini successor? I mean, I had a little rant about this last week or the week before, didn't I? About we need to be prepared for this, and I don't think we are.
No idea. The lazy answer, I guess, that people would use would be Eddie Howe, but Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tight to know, and there will be times during the season when people wonder if Pellegrini's up to the job, and there will be times during the season when we're absolutely brilliant, and people want Pellegrini to get a brand new contract. So, such are the joys of following West Ham. But yeah, an up and coming manager. Who knows? Who knows?
I think he'll be a foreign manager that's more suited to Pellegrini's style. I think Eddie Howe, it could probably cost you like 20 million, get him out of Bournemouth or something. It won't be cheap to get Eddie Howe. I think I've always liked Brendan Rodgers, but now he's at Leicester. We can get him. Who's the Ajax manager? Him.
I don't know who's the Ajax manager.
I don't know about him.
Who's Ronald Koeman managed now?
He's the Dutch national side.
Oh, is he right? Okay.
So I would like the Ajax manager if possible, please, because the football.
Oh, I've got one. Mikel Arteta.
Oh, come on!
What? What's your problem?
You're trying to be edgy.
I'm not trying to be edgy. I just asked a question. What do you want me to say? Sam Allardyce?
Is this assistant manager? That's it. He's not even been a manager of a football team yet.
No, but that's you ain't getting him once he's a manager. Man City won't give him the manager job. You got to take a punt, huh?
How do you come to the conclusion we wouldn't get him if he's a manager?
Well, because he's got a very, very good reputation as a game, hasn't he? So I think once he goes. Then you get one chance to get him. Otherwise, he does end up on the list of he either goes and manages. He does his 1 year in Spain. He comes back and either manages Man City or manages Arsenal. I think you get him. You've got to take him away from the assistant manager's job at Man City. But I think people will go around about Vieira and the rest of it. By all accounts, from what I've heard, Arteta will be the better manager.
Bonkers.
Well, we'll see. That's not even subjective. You will see. You can either come back in 10 years' time, and it will either be true or it won't be true. But I understand he's got a very, very bright future. So I hear.
Yeah, I mean, whenever there's a top job pop up, he's always favourites in the bookies market, so it's expected he will. And I'm sure he will become a Premier League manager one day. But I don't think you can take a punt on it. Like, you can't build all this up. You can't go get all these players in at West Ham. Pellegrini does 3 years of building a top team. Then you take a punt on the manager. He's the most important guy at the football club. I'm going
to do what I want. I've been asked a hypothetical question on a flaming internet stream. That's it. Mikel Arteta. There you go.
Christ, I thought you believe in the moon landing was real was the worst thing I've heard on the stream tonight, but you've just outdone it. You're not buying.
I've seen too much to bite on that. I can't be dealing with all you airy fairy conspiracy theorists and living in cloud cuckoo land.
Daz says, which West Ham players have you got in your Premier League fantasy league team?
I haven't done it yet. Sorry, I'll do it. If anyone's got a hammer, I will activate the Hammers Chat League this week. I'll do it. I don't want to poo-poo the question. No. I would certainly be tempted. I think Wilshere will be good value because he's going to be low because of what happened last season. Lanzini will probably be good value because what they always do, they always factor in what happened last season. And obviously with Lanzini and Wilshere, it wouldn't be a lot. I guess and Anderson's not going to be good value. He just won't be. And Fabianski won't be good value either because he scored so highly last season. So you've got to look for surprises. No point getting Haller because Haller's going to be expensive. So, yeah, anyway, I might be wrong. What do I know? I'm crap at fantasy league football.
I've not done it either. The one player I'll be going straight for to have a look at his price to see if he's a bargain is Ryan Fredericks. I think he'll be getting forward a lot of stuff. He'll concede a lot of goals, but I do think if he can get his crossing right with Haller in the box, I think he'll be racking up some assists next season. We see him against Man City in the friendly, getting forward, taking on the fullback. That's what you want to see. So he's the one guy I'll be going beelining for to see if he's a bargain or not. And forever blowing bubbles, would you like Frank Lampard as manager if he guaranteed us Europa League football every year? I would take Allardyce as manager.
Well, I'd prefer Frank Lampard over Sam Allardyce. Put it that way.
Chris Lewington says, if we get bids for Diop, Rice and Haller totaling £300 million next summer, do you sell them?
Yeah, probably. But I do think next summer we are getting bids for. Yeah, I mean, you can add Anderson, Rice, Haller, Diop. Yeah, I mean, we're getting bids for at least 2 of those players next summer.
Flight
No
time.
joke.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
I don't understand this gun to the head thing. But I've got to say this to answer the question. So Star Wars 1, 2, 3. Obviously, well, I say 1, 2, 3. New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of Jedi. I can't be doing all that Jar Jar Binks nonsense. I don't like all that stuff. Star Trek. I don't like the really old ones, Spock and all that. I'm not in it, but I like the Next Generation, and I liked Star Trek Voyager. I liked Enterprise. I'm all right. The new one, it's all right. Discovery, I think it's called. It's all right. I like both.
Unbelievable.
What do you mean unbelievable?
You've come across as the right geek in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, fair enough. I am a geek. I am a geek. Everybody is a geek, by the way.
I've not watched either of those. I've never watched Star Wars or Star Trek. Not watched a minute of either.
My mate called me a geek, right? And he said, "You're a geek about cameras or pinball machines or all this, that, and the other." He said, "You are a bit of a geek, Chris." And I went, "Yeah, well, all right, well, fair enough." I said, "Well, you're a bit of a geek." So he said, "No, I'm not." I said, "Yes, you are." He said, "No, I'm not." I said, "But funny enough," I said, "when I was around your house the other day, he had a magazine all about rear derailleurs, like on a bicycle. He was looking through all these different types of rear mechanism for his bike, and all the ones that he could tell you everything about the ball bearings on each one and what they all did. But he thought he wasn't a geek. Everybody's a bit of a geek. Everyone's got something that they're a bit geeky about.
Interesting. I've got one good question actually. That one about the player that we Diop in that. It's from Alan, our friend Alan. Alan. Insurance number says, do we now keep our best players? I think in general we do, but at the same time, our 2016-2018 Hammer of the Year have both left within a year winning the award. Now, I'm going to elaborate on that and add a bit to his question, if he doesn't mind. And that is, at some point, we're going to have to sell a top player, okay? Because when you've got a team of top players, eventually you're going to have to, one's going to leave, aren't they? You can't just keep all your players forever. And we're also, this summer, we're cutting all the deadwood. So next summer, we're not going to have any, are we? We've got rid of all the £7-8 million players we don't mind losing. So come next summer, when you look at the squad now and you think, who could we get rid of next summer for 8-10 million? Creswell maybe, but apart from that, I'm struggling to think of anyone because Masuaku's only got a year left on his contract, so he's either going to get a new deal or he's going to leave. Hernandez has got a year left. Sanchez has got a year left. Zabaleta's going. So in order to fund transfers, you're going to have to sell someone, I think, and it's going to be someone around the £20 million mark. And I'm going to argue that Snodgrass's value is going to be, he might be one of those deadwood players, but his value is not going to be much. No. Antonio's value is probably just going to start declining because of his age. Yarmolenko, if he doesn't have a great season, his value is going to be quite low. So what do we do? Who do you think we need to be looking at thinking we might have to sell that player?
Well, we act as if we're going to have any choice in the matter. And I still think it's going to be Diop. And I think we did really well to fend off that interest from Man United. And it's so easy to say Haller, and we all hope for the best. And no one beat the Haller drum more than me. But he's not played a single game for us yet. So let's just put that to one side. I think Diop, I don't even think we're going to have any choice in the matter. I think one of the very biggest clubs is going to come in. And as you always say, Geo, I'll have him. And I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think we'll have any choice in it. I think that's who it's going to be. And I think we'll get good money. I think we'll get very, very good money for him.
I was always convinced it was Declan Rice until Manchester City just went and bought Rodri in the summer. And I thought, right, okay, that's good. Because that's the defensive midfielder they were after. I thought, that's good. It does worry me that if, Man United or Chelsea will have their transfer ban will be lifted. So I do wonder one of those clubs will be looking at Declan Rice. I think Declan will be the one that every club's looking at and thinking, you know what, he's the guy we need to take to our football club and spend the money on. I think we're fortunate Fabinho ended up hitting off at Liverpool a little bit because I think actually he'd be perfect for Liverpool. If I was Klopp and I needed a defensive midfielder, Declan Rice is the guy I'd be going and getting. English, he's a natural leader. Klopp likes his leaders in the middle of the pitch. He's got Henderson, he's got Fabinho. He likes the players in there that can command it. James Milner, he'll need a replacement for James Milner next summer. And I am just glad they've got Fabinho, because he looked a bit sketchy when he first arrived. He wasn't really starting it, and then he suddenly clicked to one of the best defensive midfielders in the league last season come the end of it. So I do think it's Rice, but where would he go? There's not many teams that want him, but I do think someone's going to have to go next summer that's going to be our record sales. Right now it's Payet, 25 million. I do think we're going to have to sell someone probably around about the £50 million mark a little bit next season, because we're going to need right back sorted, we're going to need left back sorted, we're going to need to replace the player that's leaving. It'll be someone, maybe it will be Diop, could be Balbuena if he has another top season, and someone could come in for 30 million for him or something. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss?
No, but I would like to say that things ain't that bad. I've noticed a certain bit, everyone's a bit down in the mouth, not everyone, and a bit worried. And I would just like to say things haven't really changed that much. We've played a few pre-season friendlies. We've not played our best team in any one of those. We've still got finals to look forward to. We've still got Haller to look forward to. I still think that if you put your favourite first team together, I think it looks formidable. I think we look strong. Do we have 2 players for every position? No, but we're West Ham. That's all right.
I think we do.
All right, but whatever. People seem to want this squad. People seem to want this massive squad. If at West Ham you can have a really good first team, 5 senior players on the bench and 2 youngsters, you're doing bloody well. I just don't think there's as much to worry about as people seem to be worried about. Do you want to worry about something? Worried that Lanzini's contract's running down.
Don't say that. I agree with you, actually. I think there's been a lot of panicking for some reason. The way I look at it, we're coming out this summer transfer window, assuming no one leaves. We're coming out the summer transfer window with 2 players starting our starting 11 that we purchased. They've both got massive reputations in European football as well. There will be people in other countries, there'll be people in Germany right now thinking, who the hell is this West Ham United, and why the hell is one of our top strikers in this league gone there? There'll be people in Spain, and we know there's people in Spain because we're seeing it with the journalists. There's people in Spain going, why the hell is Pablo Fornals going to West Ham United? He's better than that. There's people in Germany and Spain thinking that those 2 players that come to us could do better than West Ham. Do you know something? They might be right. And that is a huge compliment to the people that brought them to West Ham United, because they've been able to persuade them to come here and ply their trade. Now, we might only have them for 2 years, might have them for 3, might have them for 4. We don't know. But I'm quite relaxed because, as I always say, if they do go to a big club, it means they've done damn well good at West Ham United. We're going to cash in on them. And, the future looks good. We're not going into next season worrying about relegation. There's none of this. Normally, you'd think, oh, that player gets injured, we're in deep trouble. We're not thinking like that. Even Fabianski, we can joke and rub it off because we might concede 2, but we'll probably score 3. It needs must. That's what we'll do. But we've not lost any players, and sometimes it's easy to focus on who you've not signed, but sometimes it's easy to forget who you've not sold. And we've gone into this window with people looking at Diop, people looking at Declan Rice, and now, yes, Marco Navic is gone. But something, I'd rather sell him than Balbuena, Diop, Declan Rice, Lanzini, Felipe Anderson, even Fabianski. So, we've kept our key players from last season, and we've improved 2 positions. I've always said you should upgrade the person on your bench so that the person in your first 11 goes on the bench. Now, Hernandez was already on the bench. He doesn't count. But arguably, Mark Noble or someone is going on the bench to replace Pedro Obiang. That's our upgrade. Our wage bill is probably lower, but instead of thinking, well, we haven't spent it, it means that we've got it. So come January, Pellegrini needs a player. He knows he's got a little bit of cash sitting there to go get someone. He knows for the next 3 weeks, if someone comes up on loan, etc., he can go get him because he's not wasting wages. And all you have to do is go back to George and Hugo, who won't leave. That's what happens when you waste money. That's what happens when you spend money for the sake of it. And then you can't shift them because they're on a big wage. We've struggled to get rid of Sam Byram because of his wages. We've struggled to get rid of Obiang because of his wages. And the fact is, we're straining all that now. We're being disciplined in the transfer market. I think it's just good things. Good vibes, Gonzo. Good vibes.
Oh, yeah. I'm still buzzing about the Haller deal. I really am.
Yeah, anyway, if you've enjoyed this, do drop a like on the video. We'd appreciate it. Helps us out. Also, next week, myself and Gonzo will be doing a video, and we need your help. It's something a little bit different, and there's a reason why.
Yes.
We'll tell you on the video. I'm not going to bore you now because it's got a 5-10 minute story behind it. But what we're going to do is we're going to go live 1 week next week. Don't know what date yet. We'll have to work it out. But when we do, it'll be about a 10-15 minute show explaining what we're doing, why we're doing it. And the video will only stay up for about a couple of hours. Then we're going to take it down again because it's not about West Ham. It's about Hamish Chat, myself and Gonzo, and a headache we've currently got. So we need your help for feedback, to tune in live if you can and talk to us in the live chat. Give us a little bit of feedback, etc. And we'll leave it up for a couple of hours so you can leave your comments, because we're using you as a soundboard, if you like. So if you can help us out next week, it'll be appreciated. We'll put it on our social media and we'll put it on our YouTube, and appreciate if you can come along. But if you're new around here, subscribe to the channel. That's been Gonzo, I've been Geo, we've been Hamish Chat, and we shall see you very, very soon.